Let the magic rise.
You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello? Hello? No, we're live.
Yeah, we are, mate. That's right. You completely buggered up my intro. Oh, blimey. I'm sorry, people. We had a bit of dead air there, didn't we? Yeah. Hey, folks, a very big welcome to Jingly-Jangly, your weekly wrap on the latest political spills and esoteric thrills. Coming to you from Europe with me, Ollie Connolly in Spain, and him, Piers Garnham in England. Okay, blimey, I'll tell you what, I apologise. There was a bit of dead air there, probably. It was all Piers' fault. What are you doing, Piers?
Boomer, don't, it's forbidden. I'm fine, dude, I'm fine. My flatmate just come in, that's why I was just saying we're live.
Good, jolly good. I'll tell you, absolute chaos. It's my fault. It's entirely my fault. It's the first time we started the show last week, didn't we? And
we did.
We had Patrick Anglish from who's a what a lovely chap. He was producing us last week, so there were no excuses, but this week I'm producing, studio producing, and well,
clearly it's all gone completely Pete Tong. But no, it's good. It's all good. We're live now. We're speaking to the individual listening. Hi to the individual listening out there in the good old USFA and whoever else worldwide might be actually listening to Revolution Radio. It's
been, but I mean, what are we going to talk about? I mean, it's just been another quiet news week.
It has. There's been nothing going on. It's been dead. You know, I mean, like, I've got no idea what we're going to discuss for 2 hours. I mean, like, there's just such a lack of news going on. There's just nothing happening right now. You know, the world is like a dead zone, you know?
Tell me what was the main story.
I think in my local post office they've decided to close early this week, which is a bit of a hit for Christmas. You know, people won't be able to deliver their packages early. Late any longer because there is, I think, perhaps more going on in the world than perhaps we're letting on.
Something did happen, didn't it? Something happened.
Did it? What was it? What happened? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Remind me.
Well, there was an election in.
Oh yeah, yeah. There was. Yeah, that's right.
I think it was our transatlantic cousins, wasn't it?
Oh my God! Of course, yes. There was some sort of by-election going on.
Yeah, that was it. It was a midterm.
It was just a little thing, where
primaries.
I don't know. Yeah. Well. That's right. There was a bit of an election going on, wasn't there?
It's been a big week, Piers. It's been a big week. In fact, you know what? I went to New York earlier, and I was taking a bit of a recording of just some of the sentiment in New York City. Yeah, New York's it's absolutely it's really pained over there. They're having a big problem in New York.
Is it a sort of a liberal schizoid embolism taking place? Sort of, kind of like, oh my God, what's happened?
Wonder. Maybe we should have a minute's silence for the Clintons. I mean, Hold on. Let's have a minute silence. Let's see how long we can last. It's a minute silence, people. Just a sec.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yes, be serious. I mean, bless her. I mean, she looked so sad, didn't she? When she said, it was my lifetime's wish. I was going to be president. It was set up. Kissinger told me, and Soros, they told me I was going to be president. It's so wrong. It's so wrong.
Well, I think they genuinely did rig the election. It's just that so many people voted for Donald Trump that even with erection,
Donald Trump. Who's Donald Trump?
Well, he's that chap with the funny hair, you know, like I think he grows it like really long from the back and then sweeps it over the top and then uses a shitload of like hairspray and it kind of makes it look like this sort of it's like a hoverboard. It's like hair hoverboard, you know, it's like it's you know, there's probably like like an inch of free air between the hair and the bald bit between, you know. It's like there's probably, you could probably put your hand in there, you know, slip it under the ridge, you know, where his brow is, you know, and give him a little tap, you know, on the slap head, you know, on the bald patch, and but where the roof, the hair is still neatly in place.
They have these things over here in Spain. They call them empanadas, and no, it's something like that. I can't remember the name. They come from the Canary Islands, and they're these sort of pastries that you kind of just wrap round itself like a snake, like goes round and round and round and round. And when they see these folks that do that with their real hair, like that bloke on CNN, that political pundit, I can't remember his name, Masonic bloke, where you basically take, I don't know, your sideburns and grow them like 16 foot long and then wrap them around your head like that. They call them the same thing. I don't know.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, you know, let's talk about you know, creative use of you know, the follicles that you have left. I mean, it won't be long before you and I are doing that as well. You know, I mean, we'll be sort of twisting and turning and growing the follicles we do have to sort of 2 or 3 foot long, and then sort of wrapping them around in circles and sort of creating this sort of web of stuff. That's basically what Trump does. I mean, it's kind of just hair grown from the back forward, isn't it? It's hilarious. But
yeah. No,
anyway,
completely.
he is the president-elect.
He is. But nobody expected it. It wasn't going to happen. How did it happen?
I've got no idea. I mean, I do think it's it's a cry against the establishment. That's what I genuinely believe, and that's obviously what we're going to discuss and break down with our guests, Elizabeth and Gary. You know, I mean, it's But
CNN told us it wasn't going to happen, Piers. CNN assured us.
The Clinton News Network promised us that she would be elected. I think her ambition got the better of her. She, well, together with a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, I still don't think she's out of the woods. You know, I still think she's probably got the jet on standby, fueled and ready to go. You know,
what, to Qatar?
Well, yeah,
or Saudi. She's not going to go to Saudi. I mean, they'll probably behead her or something.
Well, they should have to wear a burqa in Saudi. I'm not sure Clinton.
She'd look good in a burqa.
or a hijab. I think it's a hijab, isn't it? Not the full burqa. I don't think she'd have to wear one of those. But
Bill might have to wear one of them hijab.
Well, Bill's sort of, you know, looking more and more gaunt and ill every day, isn't he? I mean, like I don't quite know what's going on with Bill. I think Bill's
he looks a bit ill. But hey, let's not get into that, because this is a comedy show, yeah. I mean, the fact that the rumors are that
he could end up being an extra on The Walking Dead. You know, I mean, like that's a sort of long-running zombie show. I mean, maybe he could like get a job as an extra on The Walking Dead, and they wouldn't have to put him in makeup any longer. They could just like have him, you know, he could just walk straight on set and be one of the zombies. You know. What's
the deal in the UK, Piers? Off the back of this, what is the sentiment in the UK with the? I mean,
well, it's very much along the lines of the track you just played of the people in New York and their reaction.
No.
Yeah, seriously.
Really?
Yeah.
What, in Westminster?
Well.
Was that what was that the cabinet meeting today?
Yeah, that's just the noise. That's just basically the noise that comes out of Westminster constantly. You know, that there is actually no discernible words. It's just literally din. And then they kind of create policy and government out of that. You know, just that noise. But yeah, no. I've been monitoring the reaction on Facebook and other social media outlets. And actually, yeah, are they all committing Harry-Carry? Yeah, they're all sort of stabbing themselves liberally in the stomach and allowing their guts to spill out, and people are saying, oh well, if you endorse Trump, I'm going to unfriend everyone. How dare you? I mean, it's all this sort of business going on. It's extraordinary, you know. I mean, like, you know, everybody's entitled surely to some political debate, and we should be respectful of other people's opinions, and the complexities involved with politics in general, and the amount of lies that all politicians tell, in order to get elected. You know, these are the people. I can't believe people are so sort of trusting still of politicians in general. Why? I mean, we all know that they lie. All of them lie through their teeth, in order to achieve the ultimate goal, which is to achieve office. And I mean, I just don't know why people get so upset. Why did they get so upset? You know, it doesn't matter whether it's Democrat or.
Why do people get upset about football? Soccer, or any of that nonsense. I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, football. American football's a lot of rubbish, actually. I mean, they have to wear these big padded things because they're so poncy. But if soccer is a brilliant sport, passion and all that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not going to change your life, is it? But I mean, when it comes to politics, I mean, it's a kind of a similar deal in a way. It's this human instinct, isn't it? Like, that predator type thing and all that. But
it's just the amount of trust that we put in the establishment and the powers that be. Why do we even give them the time of day, whether it be Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton? Why are we so obsessed? I mean, the mainstream media sort of dictates this obsession, and they carry us in this fervor of kind of intrigue and passion, which actually really amounts to a hill of beans. I mean, these people, all, whether they're Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, they lie as much, and they say the most outlandish and outrageous things in order to achieve one goal, to get elected. I mean, I think realistically, as we're going to discuss with our guests shortly, I think the reason why, go on.
Guests, we've got guests.
Yes, we've got guests. Quick, get them on, man.
Hold on. Okay, got to introduce these guys. Oh blimey, where's my notes? Yeah, indeed, we got some lovely guests. Lovely. What is it? Trump says they're fabulous. It's going to be terrific. Yeah, indeed. We have Rust Belt journalist Elizabeth Ely telling us why America's changed track. Elizabeth is from the key election state of Michigan. I mean, they're one of the Rust Belters. That basically this entire election pivoted on those Rust Belt states, so they better feel guilty. And she's a food activist. She's got a cracking website, howpositiveareyou.com, where basically, you better be positive, yeah? And she's working on some investigative journalism into the Clinton Foundation, and I imagine that is a topic that's going to crop up tonight. And plus, Jingly-Jangly's very own US political stringer, Gary Branson, is going to help us plot America's course. Elizabeth, are you there?
I am here indeed.
Oh, you
Greetings.
Lovely woman.
I love being here. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm flattered. As you didn't mention that I didn't even watch the results come in 2 nights ago, and I watched very little of the debates, so I'm flattered.
I think you did the right thing, Elizabeth. I mean, I think getting, actually paying too much attention to that nonsense was
Piers, you told
smart.
me she was a qualified guest.
I'm sure she is. She's qualified purely by ignoring the whole thing, which is, I think, absolutely the best policy to take.
I still have my brain.
Yes,
God bless
done.
you.
You haven't
you.
fried your synapses, which is what most people have done by the looks of things.
I've watched nearly every debate in this whole saga, all the way back to the initial primaries, and I kind of feel as though I put my brain in a blender.
Yeah, I think that's what I think. Most people woke up the morning after the election and found out what the result was and thought, "Oh, okay then." It's like,
I don't think that's the case in America.
No, it wasn't the case at all. But I mean,
I did actually have an okay then. And even though I've been a political progressive since I even knew the word.
I want to ask you. I want to know what on earth is a political. Progressive. I mean, come on. What is that? It's just a word out of the dictionary.
It's the word we have used for the past 20 or 30 years in the United States to describe people we used to describe as liberal. But liberal has been so corrupted.
Yeah.
And basically, what it means is that I think it's the most basic level. It means that you stand for compassion. A nation that is based on justice and equality and compassion and not corporate control. But of course, that's all been co-opted as well to serve a corporate agenda. So you have some pretty crazy memes going around the progressive community, which leads to the craziness that you saw Hillary Clinton speaking to.
Piers.
Where's Gary?
Hold on. Whoa.
Sorry, not that you're not.
No. Hold on. This woman. She's obviously bright. I'm just saying, we better be careful.
Yeah.
Gary,
absolutely.
Are you
I think
there?
that's advised.
It's just that.
Don't be rude.
No, I was. I'm not being rude. I mean, I genuinely was. I thought it would be a great thing to have a lady PM in the UK and a lady president in the United States. But as time went on, it became very apparent to me that regardless of sex, the only thing that seems to motivate presidential candidates
to do with good or bad policy. I mean,
what I'm trying to say is that Hillary, if she had become the president-elect, would have been historical. It would have broken ground. There's never been a female president in the United States before. It would have been a wonderful thing for all and sundry, and the world would have been dynamically changed forever.
I beg to differ because I'm a woman and I don't identify at all with any of that.
Do you not? Okay, well, I was playing devil's advocate.
When I get my first woman president, she'll actually care about mothers. She'll actually care about sending our kids abroad to wars. She will actually respond to the world as a woman.
Yes. I was trying to invoke that type of reaction, to be fair.
Well, you got it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's been interesting to me is that I do think that a lot of how can I say this without sounding contentious?
Probably can't.
I do think there was a sort of fervor, a female fervor that was prepared to sort of overlook all the kind of evidence against the Clinton campaign just because she was a woman, and that they were so hell bent and had this sort of inner desire to see a lady take the top job that they prepared to sort of overlook everything else that was going on, and that was screamingly obvious to those that bother to actually research the full scenario. I will say again, I would love to see a female president. However, not this one. Yeah, I mean, which is something that I post on Facebook, and
why?
Well, because she's so corrupt. I mean,
okay. Let's hear from an American. Elizabeth?
Yes.
What? I mean, she's got a vagina. Surely she's vote worthy.
Not nearly in my book.
Why not?
No.
Explain, Elizabeth.
Because that very issue of having a vagina, of being a woman, and being so-called progressive, although not even having to prove that, has overshadowed the actual substance of the issues and the actual content of her character, which when I got involved in this last spring with Charles Ortel, the financial analyst who's going through the Clinton Foundation books, we found that these people are basically criminals. And this is fraudulent activity. It is actually it's blatantly treasonous to be, putting stuff on an insecure server and sending it around. All those memes, I say memes are not talking points. Okay. They're just things meant to sway you emotionally and say, oh my God, she's a woman. Oh my God. Yeah. She's the glass ceiling, all these little terms thrown out at us to stop us from thinking.
Yes, absolutely.
Hold on, guys.
That's where I come in. Yeah.
Is it Gary? Gary, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hey, it's me.
Gary's I thought we'd lost you, Gary.
Oh, you had a couple of times, but all is well now.
It was really slick studio production behind the scenes, guys. Yeah, while you were blabbering on about vaginas. Yeah. Okay. So
I'm glad you came on. I was about to take the vibe down by actually explaining something.
So please do. Please, Elizabeth, explain.
Well, I want to keep it light, but this is really serious stuff.
Don't keep it too light. It's important stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. And yet it is funny. It is freaking hilarious. How people, and to me, where I interface with this is the mind control. That's the only part I find interesting. I'm not here to debate, whether Trump or Hillary will be better for women. I don't even know that. Nobody knows that. Nobody's had the real information. I'm drawn to topics that deal with mind control. And before, you go asking me where my tinfoil hat is and whether I'm saying that the CIA is beaming lasers
Isn't that what government means?
What?
Mind control. Government. Isn't that what government actually means? Government.
Well, it's what television is.
No, mind control. I mean, government, the word is Latin for control mind.
Yeah.
That's what government means. Mind control. Anyway, sorry, carry on. That was an aside.
Yeah, is it called governmentum in
in Latin? We need to get to the Latin origins of this word and how it goes back to the Roman Empire and controlling people with bread and circuses. I don't know, but
you're right.
Yeah,
Gary,
it's been completely shocking to me.
Brainwashed to beyond belief.
Yeah,
Gary, what is going on? Do you think that we're being? I mean, was CNN basically trying to control our minds?
Well, I would not go so far as to say full on like Manchurian Candidate mind control. No, but broad messages that subtly work their way into the minds of busy people who don't have time to do their own digging up of real information. Yeah, that's exactly what that's about.
That sounds like Brexit, because people voted and they didn't know what the hell they were voting about, and then they blame the other side or whatever. Well, you know what? You want to trust a politician? You're an idiot. You got to check your own facts before you vote for such a momentous, important decision. Sorry, carry on. I was getting carried away. Oh, by the way,
how do you respond to that, Ollie? I mean,
no. Sorry, I just want. Is it true that Wolf Blitzer's on suicide watch?
I haven't heard that.
He was awfully upset the other night.
I don't know.
He was very upset. Gary, did you watch any of the coverage?
I watched some of it. Mostly, I was able to hop in once all the sadness was coming along. Once the results were really foregone conclusions, that's when I was able to hop in and see just all the faces.
Oh, they've been so upset. In New York. Oh, New York. Listen, hold on. This is New York Live, Gary. New York Live. Oh, poor little snowflake.
Is that live right now?
Oh yeah. No, this is coming. This is Trump Tower. Yeah. All the protesters outside. Oh, Snowflake City. Snowflake City.
I can't for the life of me understand what they're protesting against. rather than an unexpectedly fair election.
You can't say that, Liz. How dare you? Oh my goodness. You mean actually, you see this thing about, I've seen so many people moaning about the Electoral College now. I mean, we have a thing in England which is very similar, where you have various constituents, boroughs, where people can vote, and then those boroughs count for sort of an electoral vote, and you might have 10 people in one borough and 100,000 in another, but both boroughs count for the same. The electoral process in the States is very similar. It's not proportional representation. It's not a nationwide vote for vote kind of representation. It's an area vote type of thing, which helps them to sort of break it down into sort of who is representing those regions in the Congress and Senate, or the Lords and the Commons in the UK. And this is something that I've heard a lot of people moaning about, the Electoral College on Facebook, and how people aren't.
How does that work? How does that work?
Proportionally representing.
Gary, tell us how the bloody hell it works.
All right, so here's the original idea behind the Electoral College, is that it was designed to prevent the tyranny of the majority from focusing all of the politicians' attention on population centers to the detriment of the more rural areas.
That's a pretty interesting point. That's a pretty good point. Subtle politics
there. But unfortunately, it has become twisted such that it now rather disproportionately favors the rural areas because they get their voices listened to more because there's fewer of them out there, but they still get just as much representation as those in the cities.
Exactly, Gary. And now this is what people are moaning about. I mean, and this is what people moaned about after Brexit as well. And any general election, any election where we're putting a new party into power, people moan about the lack of proportional representation. It's not one for one. It's area votes. It's regional voting. It's constituency voting, borough voting. This is what it's all about. And there was a referendum in the UK not so many years ago where people were given the opportunity to vote for proportional representation, and they didn't. So
idiots.
Yeah.
When was that news? I don't remember that.
The Electoral College as an issue is interesting in the United States in that nobody objects until their candidate loses because of it. I'm just across the board against the Electoral College. It's an outdated idea, and we do need to have the tyranny of the majority. I'm sorry, the majority rules. I would add that was a great introduction to it that Gary just gave. Thank you for that. I didn't know that city rural part, but I know there's been just a shocking level of gerrymandering. That's what we call changing the boundaries of things and messing with it in terms of, and I think it's maybe I'm thinking of legislative districts as opposed to Electoral College. I'm not quite sure. I think it's the Electoral College is really about brokering numbers of votes to states. So it's kind of a winner-take-all system. So if you win California or Florida or Ohio, you get a lot of Electoral College votes.
Yeah. I mean, that Florida thing on, Wolf was practically having kittens when it was. I could see him. He was getting the knife out. He was rolling up his cuff while talking to John King, that bloke who's Dana's bit of fluff or whatever. And he was Florida, it's got to go for Hillary. It's got to go for Hillary. Oh, John, tell me it's going to go for Hillary. He was so upset.
Sounds like an episode of South Park, dude.
CNN is an episode of South Park.
It sounds like they were absolutely scripted and somebody gave a different script. What more evidence that do you need that it was supposed to be completely rigged?
Oh.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of rigging probably did go on, but I actually think the fact that Trump won means that he won so unanimously, so unbelievably completely, that all the rigging that the Clintons, and their buddies did, didn't count for nearly even close to enough. I mean, the Senate and Congress are both in Republican hands now because the majority was that big.
But Clinton got 200,000 more votes than he did, but he won the Electoral College. Elizabeth and Gary, chip in.
So, yes, Clinton did actually win 301,000 more votes than Trump won. But because of the way that the Electoral College is... Right, exactly. So the reason that worked out is that it doesn't matter what proportion of the votes in the state that you get as far as how many of those electoral college votes you just get all of them if you win that state. So it's actually very similar to the way that legislative districts work, in that it doesn't matter how much over 50% you just get it. Now, the way that gerrymandering has been set up for, the legislative districts for the House of Representatives, the way that gerrymandering works is that you pack all of your opponent's party's voters into one or two or just a minority of the districts in each individual state, so that the other side is going to win those districts hugely, just by 80, 90% victories. And all of the other districts in the state are going to have your side win by 55 to 60%, but pretty reliably. And that is how we get the gerrymandered districts, such that the House of Representatives is so firmly in the hands of the Republican Party right now.
Elizabeth, do you really think that this system could be improved? I mean, it's a huge country. I don't know how they do it in other huge countries. China, we obviously know, but I mean,
Sorry, Ollie.
No. It's difficult, isn't it?
It's just that what we're talking about. If it was proportional representation, if it was every vote was counted and it wasn't district or regionally orientated, then Clinton would have won. I'm no great fan of Donald Trump. I remain, I want to see. I think a lot of what he said during the run up to the election was appalling. But as we all know, I think politicians are prone to saying whatever they think might get them a vote, and I think a lot of
it could be the converse, Piers. It could be that actually he was being a regular guy and just speaking his heart, rightly or wrongly. And on the other hand, there's Hillary Clinton, who is so versed in politics that she's incapable of speaking her heart. But she's the one that's getting backed by the Saudis, and they make Donald Trump look like a bloody nun in mourning.
Well, they do. I mean, I'd like to ask Elizabeth about this because, I mean, she's involved with the exposure of the Clinton Foundation and to a greater or lesser degree. And I would really like to know, because from what I've read, the Clinton Foundation seems to have been basically just a tool to launder money and use that money to bribe and influence people. Plus the kind of pay to the whole kind of pay to play thing. It's sort of I'd like to
play with Bill. I don't want to play with Bill.
Not in
or
the
to
hot
play
tub,
with bills,
sure.
$100 ones.
Oh, $100 bills.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, what Hillary's Bill's pimp. It's like you want some time with my husband? You're going to have to pay.
That sounds closer to it. If you really look into the Clinton Foundation, and it's not hard to do, the information is out there, but very few people look at it. That isn't even the half of it, the skimming off the top and writing yourself a check from it. That's been the part that's been stressed by a lot of people. Oh, they take a salary from it. Actually, officially they don't. and just money just disappears. But it's
how do they audit that? How do they? Is it not audited? It's a charity, isn't it?
It is not, and it was audited, supposedly audited last November, and it was a completely fraudulent audit, and they even admitted they needed to go back and redo those books. How do they get away with it? Well, that's the big question for me.
Well,
and I think
everybody's on the payroll.
Well, I think that what it points to is a breakdown of the rule of law. And once you've lost that and you've lost the sense of reality, I mean, you're done as a country, as a society.
Yes.
So
you are so right.
Yeah. So it's influence peddling. And of course, yeah, I love that description of her as Bill's pimp. That's exactly what it was. And they even the left-wing press, even I think I read the Daily Beast last night. There was some kind of wording about how it looked like a bribery scheme, but the quid pro quo is missing there. There's no direct funneling of bribes, but it does raise the question of whether these donations influenced State Department decisions. And I'm like, raise the question. That question has been answered over and over. And even that very paragraph said a number of decisions of the State Department followed those donations, and they went in favor of the people who made those donations. So, they're just trying to.
So we're talking about.
It's actually the way it went.
Who are the donors?
The donors are big international businessmen, corporations who want to do a deal in perhaps a rather loose country like Kazakhstan or Congo or South Africa. They need to. They formed maybe a shell company that's going to do mining, and they have no experience in mining at all. They just want to make a lot of money. They fly to this country with Bill. They have dinner with the prime minister or somebody, and the reason given in the press and to all the PR people is this is to fight AIDS around the world, and that's where I come in because I'm an AIDS dissident and I don't like the fraud that's going on in the name of AIDS. But the real reason is to get that businessman an audience with the president, with Bill making the introduction, and he brags about how he has all these connections because he used to be president. And then when there's a part of that deal that needs to be decided in the United States, say by the State Department providing aid or so whatever permits or anything that's needed, or even like pressuring that country to do something. That's where Hillary came in, and that's the game that was played. It's all described in a book and a film called Clinton Cash, which are not hard to read. I got mine from the local library. And yet that's never talked about on mainstream media. It's all, the glass ceiling and the feminism and that's it's a front for another front.
Piers, the Clinton Foundation sounds like Blair Associates.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure Blair has some, role in the whole thing.
UK PM, ex-PM Tony Blair, the war criminal bloke. The guy that should be tried in The Hague along with Bush, Athnad, and God knows who else.
Well, but look at James Comey. He used to be he was a director at HSBC, and HSBC was found to be laundering billions of dollars worth of Mexican and South American drug cartel money while he was on the board of HSBC. And a lot of that money was seen to be filtered through various channels to the Clinton Foundation. And then those funds were then appropriated, to, influence, people.
Are you asking me to believe in conspiracies?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is all alleged, of course, but I actually believe it's true. Right. I mean, the Haitian pot, there was a huge amount of money raised after the earthquake in Haiti. Billions of dollars. Damn actually, right. And I think they built maybe a couple of shacks.
No, they got about 5% of the proceeds, according to the ex-Haitian president.
Yes,
who you can check out on YouTube.
Trump. Yes,
he was actually talking to Donald Trump in this interview, and I do not, for the life of me, understand why Donald Trump didn't try to capitalize for his campaign on this guy who said the Clinton Foundation took I don't know how much money it was, but a lot of money. And they gave us about 5% of the proceeds. The rest went, I don't know, into Bill Clinton's malevolence.
Nobody knows where that money went.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of corruption is absolutely unbelievable. What's so extraordinary is the fact that James Comey, he must be between a rock and a hard place. He's clearly involved.
You're talking about sex.
And he,
James Comey is the head of the FBI.
Right.
Yeah, James
investigating this.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. I mean, and he reopened the Clinton case, a week or two before the elections, and everybody was like, "Ooh!" And then 2 days before the election, he said, "Nothing to see here. Move along. Nothing to see here."
Why did that happen? That was so weird. I mean, why? It was almost as though the establishment had decided, you know what? She's going to be impeached. It's going to be one long saga. What we need to do is to get Trump. We need to go for allow Trump to happen. It's almost as though he is a Trojan, and they knew he was a Trojan, and that they could count on him because Hillary was getting found out.
Well, I don't know if that's true,
No.
but I share your skepticism and your cynicism about it. It seemed like there was a lot of bad press for Hillary just before the election. And I hypothesized that, it isn't like they're actually reporting public sentiment. It's like certain other people make these decisions. Absolutely. I mean, I totally believe that. And of course, but don't listen to me. I'm a conspiracy theorist.
You are.
Well,
you are.
Yeah, I look under the hood on things.
Hold on. You must have looked up the words. You must have looked up the words conspiracy and theory in the dictionary and then realized that actually, yeah, you can use them.
Yeah, that there are actual conspiracies. And actually what they've done in this case, and they've done in AIDS, is they've lowered the bar as to what they can get away with in broad daylight. Yeah, there are smoke-filled rooms with people planning stuff, of course. I mean, no, they're refraining from doing that. They're just nice people. I don't believe that for a second. But they just get this done right in front of you. And for you to say, and then you go on Facebook and you go, "Oh my God, this is what's happening." People go, "Oh, shut up. That's just a conspiracy theory."
Yeah, and Trump's a misogynist.
Yeah, that's the biggest conspiracy of all, is to tell you there's no conspiracy.
I think it's actually worse than that.
Go on, Gary.
I think because with conspiracies, once you uncover them, you can bust the people involved and throw them under the jail forever. But I think that the problem is actually more insidious than that. The problem is that everybody in Washington is so in their little echo chamber bubble that they don't think that the conspiracies that they're getting together to accomplish, they feel as though they should just go ahead and talk about it openly because it's so normalized for them that they don't even think of it as something that they need to keep secret anymore. And the corporate media, the large corporate media, is so snuggled up to them that they are being co-opted and having their brains also assimilated into that same echo chamber, and they're starting to think the same way. So they're getting all the reports that the big microphones are all spouting the same things that the people in control of the levers of power are spouting, because if the reporters, and I use that term loosely, on CNN, all those channels, don't just act as
that's right. No, sorry, they're not journalists, they're propagandists. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, and they don't want to lose access because, and it was I think on CNN where they had several comedians on, and
all of them.
I think Lewis Black.
Wolf is sad though now. Wolf's on suicide watch.
Right, but what's his name on Meet the Press?
Larry King. Oh no, that was a while ago.
The current guy.
I can't. He was on doing the thing the other night, wasn't he? I don't know his name.
Right, exactly. Anyhow,
he looks like he's sitting on a pencil.
Yeah. So he admitted right there in front of God and everybody that if he challenges any guest that comes on his show, that they won't come on his show anymore.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't challenge them on anything. And that right there is the core of the problem with profit-driven news, is that it's ever since we started putting a profit motive into the news has lost its core function of pushing back against the powerful.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Edward Murrow warned about that. But Gary, don't you think this normalizing of this whole situation in the halls of government and the halls of journalism has also normalized it for us?
Yes, absolutely.
That's the scary part.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're no longer outraged by it.
The hypodermic needle effect. The boiling frog. We're all getting used to it. We're getting slowly boiled, and before you know it, we'll be in FEMA camps.
Yeah, and that doesn't actually work with frogs, by the way. That's been debunked. Not by me or anything. Yeah.
Oh, you don't read Snopes, do you?
Oh, I'll tell you what, guys. One thing I saw before we went on air. Apparently, Ed Snowden's giving a speech at the moment, a post electoral talk, which we're kind of missing out on because we're broadcasting right now. But that's something we're all going to have to check out to see what he has to say.
You shouldn't have said that. Everyone's left now.
It
was only your mother listening.
The guy who was listening. Don't come back.
It was only your mother. It was only your mother, Piers.
Mum, please don't hang up on us.
Well, it's quite ironic that the DNC was just incensed that somebody had hacked into their emails. But on the other hand, the government and the political parties are perfectly good to go with the NSA hacking into ours.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And they had no evidence about Russia hacking, the DNC or whatever, did they? They had no, and as if that was the story. The story was, for example, the Podesta emails. They were the story. The fact that he's showing to the world that Hillary is taking money from the Saudis, and she knows that basically they're funding ISIS.
Yes, that's treason.
It's treason, exactly.
That's and it's punishable by the death penalty or life in prison in this country. That is serious. I mean, like after the circus ends, that's a fact.
But people don't understand the facts anymore because politicians are so good at bending the truth. People literally, I mean, we're the four of us are, thankfully, we've sort of educated ourselves to enough of a degree where we kind of get this stuff, where we understand that most of what we see in the mainstream media and on the telly and in the news in the mainstream media is a message that is a propagandist message that is designed to kind of tell people what to believe.
Stop! You're conspiracy theorists.
Well, I know it's terrible. I mean,
every smart person is being.
I can't watch the mainstream media without feeling physically sick now. I mean, it's literally reached that stage where if I put the BBC on or ITV in the UK now, and the BBC is one of the biggest propagandists going. I mean, if you listen to the radio, I do have the BBC on in the radio in the car sometimes, and I would listen to Radio 2, and it's the normal programs are fine, but when they put the news on, and running up to the American election, it was like Donald Trump did this, Donald Trump did that, and it was all really disparaging. And then they wouldn't even mention Hillary, it was so biased. It was just not true. That it was just like this, literally like the CNN or any of these channels that have just been spurting, the mantra of Clinton. The BBC is very much like that. And the Guardian.
The BBC is dreadful.
And the Guardian, the
Groniad.
Oh my Lord! I've never known. I mean, I actually respect.
It's like the New York Slimes.
It's unbelievable. They've been going mental, literally. Kind of.
I shouldn't say that. Sorry, that's Levin type things.
But the degree of propaganda that's been in the UK in relation to the American general election has been absolutely extraordinary.
It's been almost as intense as it was over Brexit, and it's not even our country.
Well, yeah, but I mean, ultimately, who gets elected? We all we recognise America as being a powerful nation. I mean, there's no question.
And a good friend.
And to be fair, well,
you should see some of the people in whose hands that is out here on the street. You would be very, very scared.
So, do you ever watch what Mark Dice posts online? You know, that guy who goes and vox pops people
from time
in the
to
street.
time, yeah.
Yeah, but he's a bit silly, and he probably pulls just the ones that actually say, I think the capital of Afghanistan is Syria. I mean, he probably only. I mean, you get Gary Johnson. He should have got Gary Johnson on, isn't it? What's Aleppo? The capital of Afghanistan is Syria.
Now, most of that stuff is pretty laughable, but the one that kind of rung true with me was when he was interviewing people and asking them to sign a petition to support Hillary's attempt to repeal the Bill of Rights. And he would just flat out say, yeah, we'd like you to support Hillary in this when she's going to repeal the Bill of Rights. And people would sign it over and over again. You can see the video. It's astounding.
It is astounding. I mean, you should be very, very afraid that that America is in charge of the world, and that the people who are in charge of America are these ordinary idiots on the street. You would not be impressed. And there was.
I trust the people on the street a damn sight more than the people that are really in charge of America.
Well, I trust them, but their knowledge is a little warped. I mean,
but that's not their fault. That's because of propaganda.
Well, yeah, but also
their fault.
Oh, there's a
go on,
it isn't their fault, but you know what? We have to take responsibility as Americans for the power that we exert. We can't just say, oh, USA, we're number one. We actually have to educate ourselves to that level. And of course, you're thinking fat chance of that. And a while back, you asked me what are the chances of improving the situation with the electoral college.
Elizabeth, hold that thought. Hold that thought, people. We're going to come up to a break here because I need a pee, and I'm sure there's a commercial. We've got to have a word from somebody or other, an independent, no corporate nonsense. Yeah,
cool. Right.
But we're going to have a break.
Well,
It'll be coming up any time.
We have a choice.
Yes. We've got another hour to discuss all this, so stay on board, guys. Gary and Liz, stay put.
Excellent.
I've got a choice. I've got 2 toilets in this flat.
Still going in New York.
This is live coverage, mate, just outside Trump Tower. Actually, I think this is the Oval Office. I think we switched to the White House correspondent. Oh, I just want to say that all opinions expressed on this show are the fault of peers.
Yeah, it's all my fault.
I just want to make sure. So when you want to sue us,
you sue me because I'm the one who has no money, so you're not going to get nothing. I mean, God, the wailing that's been going on, the liberal wailing, the kind of I'm stabbing myself in the stomach. I can't believe the world's come to this. And come on,
it happens every election. It does happen every election.
Why are people?
Is this much worse, really? I'll tell you one thing that
intelligent people, Ollie, intelligent people are doing this. Can they not see the facade?
Intelligent people are also emotional people, and we all get caught up. I mean, it does happen to a greater or lesser extent. But one thing I will say also is this has been spurred on by MoveOn.org, for example, a movement which is backed by George Soros and other plutocratic characters who want disaster here. They do not want Trump in charge. They want chaos. They want warmongering and asset stripping of foreign countries that they have no business to be in. And they do not want Trump. They do not want the corruption in Washington Washington to be addressed.
Oh, but Ollie, you called this show Trojan Trump.
Yeah.
Now that's a poignant title. The thing is, and we've got the guests on. Let's discuss this in the next hour. Do we actually genuinely think that Trump, regardless of all the kind of very...
Are you suggesting we get round to the theme?
Well, yeah, sort of. I mean, he said a lot of incredibly awful stuff during the election, really kind of bigoted stuff, that nobody's desperately keen on. But some of the fundamental core aspects of his message are quite interesting, in the sense that he wants to do business with Russia. He wants to sort of, change the recipe with Congress and the Senate. Do we think that he will actually have the power to change things for the better, or do you think the establishment will just close rank on him and he will be as big a puppet as Obama has been? Because let's face it, every promise that Obama made to get elected never came true.
Absolute nonsense. His mandate completely disregarded it. As soon as he got, the first thing he did was bail out the banks. And then no lobbyists, he said. Yeah, full of lobbyists. No Wall Street in the White House, he said. Full of Wall Street. Elizabeth, tell us, is he a Trojan?
I have no idea. I will say two things about it. One is that there's a very famous video of him saying that if he were ever to run for president, he'd run as a Republican because they're just idiots in that party. Yes. And, all you have to do is say things misogynistic and racist and stuff, and they'll come around. So he could be just kidding.
He did say
he could be kidding around all that stuff. It was a way of just, calling the Republican Party on its bullshit, excuse the word, over the last 35 years. But also what you have to understand about Trump is that he's not a revolutionary. He's a businessman, and he's also leveraged up to his eyeballs. He talks as if he's a very rich and powerful man, and he is not. He is leveraged. He's all borrowed money. He's all fluff. And he is not going to change the monetary system, which is the root of all this evil. It's keeping this monetary system in place while it's about to collapse. And I know that's looking at it far more deeply, going into far more rabbit holes, but you can't expect a guy whose entire fortune.
Rabbit holes there.
Yeah,
Wall Street yesterday had a bit of a hiccup, and today it picked up big time, and that says a lot about. I mean, the traders, they want Trump, don't they?
Oh man, we've lost Gary. Can you try and get him back?
I'll try and get Gary.
Gary got. Go on,
Elizabeth. It does seem. Just very short time since the election, that actually he is absolutely, he's less, it's not the revolutionary side that maybe is going to be so prominent. It could be the capitalist side. I'm not saying that's entirely wrong, but it looks as though that could be the focus of his presidency if he just ignores all the change stuff. Elizabeth?
Are you there? Liz?
I am here, yes.
Okay.
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I just don't see him as revolutionary. I see him as, again, this mind control thing where people who have these deep-seated insecurities are seeing those reflected back to them. And of course, we who don't have that are seeing our enemies become exactly who our enemies are. And, it's just not a way to move ahead in world progress. The way to move ahead is to stop whining, stop, wailing in front of the Trump Tower, and to roll up your sleeves and get some work done. We've got a lot of work done. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, working for what we really want in life, not being armchair socialists. The best way that I've upset people after the election is by posting on Facebook, here's a homework assignment. Go sign up for, I don't know, Wolf Pack or whatever it is, and take money out of politics. You want us to what? You want us to actually work for this? I mean, this is an opportunity for us to stand for something instead of defining ourselves by what we stand against.
Gary, I know you were just cut off there, but we were basically considering is he a Trojan? I mean, the Wall Street did really well today, or the Dow and all that. They did really, really well, the markets today, off the back of a bit of a hiccup yesterday. And I just wonder, there's a lot of Wall Street traders that are saying, oh, thank goodness. And when Clinton was reading her speech, the traders on the floor in the one of those places in Wall Street, they were apparently, some of them were shouting, lock her up, and some of them was shouting, ding dong, the witch is dead, and all that, which is all a bit nasty, whether you like her or not, frankly. But there is an argument to say that actually he could come in and just say, all that change stuff, to hell with that. Let's just make money for the rich, and I'll sort of my own leverage, as Elizabeth correctly says. What do you think? I know that you were a Bernie activist, weren't you? I mean, you must hate this guy.
Hard in the paint for Bernie, yeah. I got...
Woohoo, go Bernie.
Mm-hmm. Now, the thing with, is Trump a Trojan? Really what you want to look at is who's going to make money off of him becoming president versus who is going to make money, who would have made money off of Clinton becoming president. And it kind of,
is it not the same
we're going to
people?
Get richer either way.
Is it not more or less the same people?
So with that in mind, I would actually say he probably is not a Trojan. He was
from that point of view.
Yeah, from that point of view, he was simply the controlled opposition that backfired. They set him up to be the one that no one could possibly even remotely consider. And so you're going to get stuck with Hillary, And we said, no, we'll take Trump.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
that's such an awesome philosophy. That's so
they're
cool.
Scratching
that's
their
so
heads.
anarchic. That's like actually that suddenly makes me think that respect the American electorate that much more, because they can see through the perversity of if he was just a sort of the patsy, the kind of guy who was sort of set up to run against Hillary, who was ultimately bound to lose because of the outrageous shit coming out of his mouth, and yet people still voted for him. I mean, that to me, do you think Donald Trump is sat there back in his house now going, what the
yeah, I wondered that.
Yeah.
In fact, when he was coming out to give his acceptance speech, I was thinking, this, to me, it feels a little bit... Before he came out, I was thinking, he's going to do a Boris Johnson here. Boris Johnson was in charge of the Brexit campaign, yeah. He was like pulling the UK out of Europe. But many of us believe that the reason he did it was because he wanted to be PM, and he just basically wanted to face off against the Prime Minister, David Cameron, as was. And but he didn't really believe in Brexit. He didn't really want it. It wasn't necessarily in his favor. And these people don't care about their country. And he came out the next day having won Brexit, and he was white as a sheet. And he spoke.
He was. He looked so shell shocked. It was just not good. I mean, he actually got what he was preaching, and maybe Donald Trump's in the same boat. He's
maybe.
I've done everything I can to lose this election, and I've won it.
Yes. Are you familiar with a Broadway play and a movie called the Producers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to produce a Broadway play.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's guaranteed to be a flop, and they call it Springtime for Hitler in Germany. And in the end, everybody loves it.
Song from that.
You just nailed it, Elizabeth. That is the perfect analogy for this election. It's like the Producers. That's exactly what it is. That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. I hadn't thought of that, but now you've mentioned it, you've absolutely nailed it.
You've said so far.
Trump is the producers. Like, let's do something so crass and so awful that nobody will vote for me, and Hillary will get the clean line. Everybody votes for him because they think it's great, because it's so perverse and it's so anti-establishment. That's ultimately what it boils down to, isn't it? People are so fed up with the establishment and the fact that they just have corporate interests and this crony corporate interests that are going on, globally, whether it be in the EU or in the States, all this sort of, shipping all the manufacturing jobs overseas, where they can, employ slave labor at an absolute fraction of the cost they'd pay anybody to have a job in the States, and then just import everything. This is just corporate cronyism gone mental, and it's the same in the EU. They are, basically scratching each other on the back and saying, we'll do business with you and you'll do business with me, and we'll stop everybody else from doing business, and we'll have the whole game monopolistically wrapped up.
Now, hold on. The EU, they must be hitting themselves with an S on the front.
Well, yes.
They must be. They must be. I mean, this is Brexit, isn't it? Brexit's going to happen now. We've got a president who doesn't really care either way, because he is there to lead his people, not somebody else's, which I would have thought is what a political leader should do. That's kind of the job, isn't it?
Well, Farage is going out to meet Donald Trump quite soon.
They're very chummy. He might work for Trump.
Which is obviously going to be a huge thorn in the side of the European Union leaders. I mean, Nigel Farage was a European MP for many years, and
hold on a sec. We got someone in Brussels. Hold on. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's exactly what's going on in Brussels.
Oh, right you're just playing the New York tape again.
That wasn't the New York
tape. So cynical. What do you think this is? CNN? I tell you what it is. It's a video. It's a YouTube video, and it's called Kim Jong-il Dead: Video of Grief and Mass Hysteria in North Korea, which I thought was quite apt. I mean, the Clintons have gone. That's it. Video of grief and mass hysteria in North Korea, New York. Anyway, sorry. Yes. Yeah, I mean, the EU is, well, I mean, it was doomed anyway, wasn't it? I mean, according to 2 + 2 is 4.
Well, I mean,
gravity.
No, but people are still hooked on the ideology of the EU. They're still, I mean, basically the idea is the globalists want to get, turn Europe into a federal superstate. That's what they want. They want to homogenize Europe into a giant federal state, where all the borders are sort of diluted and dissolved and done away with. And actually, one of the things that
so what's wrong with that? You're suggesting that people want their own culture or something silly like that?
Well, yeah, yes, exactly.
That's
I mean,
so
Italy,
old-fashioned.
Spain, Germany,
progressive.
France, whoever you might be, actually, I mean, the problem we've got is that, and I include the UK in this recipe because the UK, as I've stated in previous episodes of our show, is just the 51st state of the states. I mean, we are the lapdog of the American military industrial complex.
No, I think it's the other way around. I think that the United States is an extension of Cornwall. It's like the Isle of Man.
That's news to me.
Yeah, but it's a conspiracy, darling. You wouldn't know about it.
Liz, are you a Brit who moved to America, or you were an American who? What? Tell me a bit more about yourself, because I'm intrigued.
Don't chatter up on the show.
Sorry.
Charmed, I'm sure. I'm an American who actually looks at things, and I guess that's very strange for an American over the past 30, 35 years. But I really do care about things.
I don't think that's true. You cannot generalize about America. America is vast.
Yep.
And there is a lot of very intelligent people in America. There are also a lot of people who aren't as educated as they should be. But that is also a recipe that you can reflect onto the UK as well.
Yeah.
There's an enormous class of people here who haven't educated themselves or haven't been afforded
haven't had the opportunity.
Haven't had the opportunity to be educated. It's all very well and good us waxing lyrical and speaking from the higher ground, but we've been lucky in the sense that we have, for whatever reason, we've been able to sort of take the blue pill or the red pill or whatever it is in the Matrix, where you go down the rabbit hole, and we can start seeing things for what they really are. But it's amazing. What is amazing to me is that I do know a huge contingent of very bright, well-educated people in the UK who just are still dug into the system like you cannot believe. And this is what just baffles.
It's human nature. It's human nature. People hate fear. Are frightened of are frightened of change. They fear change. Well, actually, now they desperately want change in certain respects, but at the same, as was shown by this U.S. election and as was shown by Brexit, but actually, people instinctively they fear change. They fear change.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
And so this is a brave move by the American people, just as it was a brave move by the British people with Brexit. I think it's been a very, very brave move by the American people. But, I mean, what choice was there? I mean, how far do you allow this corruption to go? Elizabeth, no?
Well, I think that word choice, what I've been trying to say to everyone is that we do have a choice. And I think it does require courage. And that sitting there and whining that something bad just happened to us. Look, this was set up to happen either way. Something bad was going to happen to us for months.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a better scenario under Clinton.
No.
Like for people to whine, oh, this wasn't supposed to happen.
I thought it was worse.
Yes,
Clinton, frankly.
Yes, I did too.
Guaranteed corruption. At least with Trump, there's a chance.
Yes, and this has been set up to happen since the end of July. And, something tragic was going to happen to us in November. And we had all those months to start preparing ourselves and say, we have a golden opportunity here to stand for what we want rather than the same old, the choose between chocolate and vanilla kind of menu.
Pepsi
no,
or Coke.
I want, butter pecan. I want something else. This is a historic opportunity for us. And I love that you said that it was, it was courage. And I think we have yet to step up to our courage. People are still out there whining.
Yeah. And they're students. They're people that are young and they're the future. They're the enthusiasm. They should be the boilerplate. They're the burning fuel of
but
any country.
They haven't had the experience to develop our cynicism. You have to be around.
Why are they so stupid? I mean, do you know? I mean, students used to protest against war. Now they're protesting against democracy. I mean, what the hell is that?
Well, I think that they think they're protesting for democracy. And I think that it's a measure of our mind control that our educational system, our universities have put such ideas into their heads. I mean, they're probably unprecedentedly college educated, this generation. And they are amazing kids. I mean, I call them kids, anybody like under 35 now. But they've been sheltered. They've been told this is the way the world works. It's this kind of toothless hillbilly thing versus the educated. We get everybody and inclusive. This sort of sing kumbaya thing.
They are as prejudiced as the people that they say are prejudiced, just in a different way.
And it's tragic. And as you say, it's not their fault. And I think this is they're still young. There's a chance to learn that the message here is you don't get to be armchair socialists for the next 4 years. If there's something you want, you need to get out there, you need to ask for it, and you need to use your voting power to work for it.
Gary, what do you think, mate?
I think that this is a historic opportunity that we are going to have to work really, really hard to turn into a real good thing. Under Hillary Clinton, everybody would have just gone right back to sleep. But now that we have this monster, this obvious monster, as opposed to the subtle monster, now that we have the obvious monster in the White House, it's going to be up to all of us, particularly this younger generation. What?
Why is he a more obvious monster? I mean, she is as corrupt as you can
We're
get.
going to build a wall and make Mexico pay for it and keep all the Muslims out of our country.
Ollie, let's face
we
it.
can, quote, figure this all out. And
some of the shit he came out with in the election was so outrageous. It beggars belief.
He nearly swore then, didn't he? Go on.
I did nearly use the F word, but I mean, like, but
I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me just be devil's advocate here, because I am having a problem processing this. He says he wants to protect his country, his people's jobs that have gone abroad in their swathes, largely to Mexico. There's a lot of illegal immigrants in the US as well, which damages job prospects for Americans. I'm trying to work out what part of that is not public service.
I'm going to have to give you some pushback on the illegal immigration damaging jobs for Americans thing.
Go on.
Because a lot of the jobs that are taken by those who are undocumented immigrants are the kind of jobs that
menial jobs.
Menial jobs, field work that most people who live here, born here, white people in general, and everyone else as well, you're not going to see those people out there picking strawberries all day. Every day
we're told that in England as well, but I'm not sure that it's not propaganda. I don't know that I believe it. There are some people that in the United States.
I think there are jobs that.
Well, hold on. Well, yeah, maybe you, but I think some people maybe that are more desperate. That might be us in the future. Who knows? They might take those jobs. I mean, in the United States, we know that what with fixed-term contracts, all that business, and massaging the employment figures as well. A lot of these people, they don't have one job; they got 2 or 3 jobs to feed their family. I mean, I don't know how much of that is propaganda, Gary, that you just spouted. To be honest with you,
a lot of it is they're getting paid under the table. They're getting paid less than the prevailing wage under the table. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the businesses that hire them.
That's different, though.
They're making money off of this kind of labor.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we haven't actually turned off the spigot of flow across the border, is that there's plenty of businesses here making money off of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that's a completely different argument.
Yeah, that's a completely complex issue.
I would totally agree with that argument.
Well, it's another form of slave labor, really. I mean, but you have to pay them, but you don't pay them much.
Yeah. But what is wrong? Okay, that wall, for example. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I agree. In a way, it sounds, terrible. But on the other hand, do you not, when you change demographics, does it not need to be in an organic way as opposed to a politically enforced way for corporate benefit? Because you've got to think about the locals and their feelings and the feelings of them who have history with their ancestors there going back 1776 sort of thing. I mean, is it? Go on.
Yeah, Ollie, this thought has come up to me too. You're calling from Europe, and we're in the United States. And in the United States, the immigration and the melting pot, as we call it, has been, there are no families that have been here since 1776. I mean, not that haven't intermarried with the unwashed masses that came later. So we are a country of immigrants. It's always worked that way, with people having several jobs to support their families. It's really horrible conditions in the past. But in Europe, we're told you guys are bigoted if you leave. Yeah, there is a shared heritage. You talk about a country like Germany of absorbing a lot of immigrants, or Austria or someplace. I've visited these places and I love their quaint culture and everything. But I don't want to be a bigot and say, they should shut out Muslims and people like that. And Britain, I think, has done an admirable job of absorbing people, in spite of the fact that they're European and they have a culture to support. So just a little, off topic, maybe a little 2 cents on that. But there is a
difference, though, between controlled immigration and just open the borders, see what happens.
Now, Ollie, this opens up a
Obama
whole
was
larger
practically
picture.
Obama was practically asking people to vote, illegal immigrants. He was practically encouraging illegal immigrants to vote.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
Now
But the thing is
Can we
that
just discuss the fact that the American, sorry, not just the Americans, the NATO have been bombing the crap out of the Middle East for decades. We have killed millions.
That's a separate issue, and I completely
No,
agree.
It's not.
It's very connected.
We have killed millions indiscriminately out there, and now we have caused this tidal wave of immigration into Europe. The moral and ethical thing to do is to give safe harbor to people who are trying to escape war zones. But the powers that be know that people are ideological and have principles, and they think, yes, let's give safe harbor to these people. But these people come from a fundamentally different ideology, from a culture that is fundamentally different from our own, from a religion that is fundamentally different from our own. We read stories about the troubles that are brewing in Scandinavia and Germany and elsewhere, where there's been this enormous influx of refugees, basically because they have walked out of their own countries into a highly advanced Western culture, where they have no bearing on what's going on. They have no semblance of the protocols involved with Western society. And so, you end up with this situation where, young men from these places who are used to walking around the streets where women are totally covered and walking around with a male member of their family in order to be able to justify their appearance in the streets, to a culture where women are allowed to dress in minimalist clothes and they're leggy blondes, and these men just have no concept of what this is all about, and are thrown into a cauldron of misunderstanding. And you don't think the powers that be in Europe and in America and wherever you like don't know that they are causing massive tension? Of course they are. One of their mantras is ordo ab chaos, order out of chaos. They knew that the majority of decent human beings out there would say, yes, let's give safe harbor to people who are suffering and are the victims of war. But they also knew that when we flood Western Europe with these people, they are going to cause havoc.
Yeah, but dude, hold on a sec. Let's just get back. We're jumping the gun here. There's two things. We probably shouldn't be talking about this. We're going way off topic. But
sorry.
There's two things. There is migration and there is warmongering. What came first? The warmongering. That's what we need to stop. And also fair trade. Those two things in combination, killing people, for profit, and then ripping them off in poor trade deals for them, which we're doing across the entire world apart from a few Western countries. And the EU is a protectionist racket as well, trade-wise, by the way.
Well, it is.
We need to stop that. We need to stop the bombing. And you know what? Also, we need, and I personally would be prepared to siphon off some of my wealth and give it to some of these people, not because I've done any bombing or ever. I mean, I marched against war in my time, but because I do know that our country has, and our Western countries have benefited unfairly through the misery of other people. But that's different. That's a different argument to saying, talking about the whole sort of homogenization of culture. And in my opinion, the dissolution of culture, genocide is a strong word, although you could argue that there's a little bit of that going on in some places now. We need to be responsible as human beings, and, for example, to help them rebuild Syria, Libya, Iraq properly. But that's a separate argument from saying, our working class folks in the Rust Belt they don't deserve their jobs because I'm making loads of money bombing you. I mean, how arrogant, really? I mean, they're two different issues. No, Elizabeth?
I've just been listening. If you want to see an experiment in what it looks like to have open immigration, look at New York City, and the place hasn't fallen completely apart so far. But I think that the larger issue for me, the only part that I really connect to, is that they keep these pots boiling. It just keeps becoming an issue and an issue and an issue. And there is a sensible immigration policy that is possible. And it's somewhere between those extremes of opening your borders or just, going totally bigoted and we don't want anybody here. What it is keeping those pots boiling, keeping that drama alive in America. It's just like racism. It's just like sexism. It's just like, making a big deal out of bathrooms for trans people. It's a motor for a conflict that in the end submits us to more control.
Yes, I agree.
It keeps us all angry. Yeah, it keeps us all angry and not thinking clearly and fighting amongst ourselves rather than aiming our well-deserved ire at those in charge. And that, I think, finally boiled over in this election, and we ended up with Donald Trump.
Hey, Gary. Yeah, I agree.
I tell you what, though. I mean, I hear what you all say, and I kind of feel a little bit sidelined in a way. I mean, like I'm playing the bigot card. You go to Paris now, and Paris. Some parts of Paris are looking like ghettos. The truth is that there is a huge difference between the Arab community in Paris and the more native French.
Can I say something?
Side. But no, hold on. Let me just finish this, Piers. Completely aside from that, and there is already a ghettoization. It's like the French said to their old colonial powers, out of guilt or whatever, you can come in, but you've got to go in that corner. So they've never handled it well, point one. But with this enormous migration queue that's come in off the back, understandably, off the back of, migration stroke refugee, yeah? It's the two things. It's basically people who haven't got a home, as you guys have said. And they need somewhere to live and they want a better life, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. But they come in to Paris, and Paris is not absorbing it, for example. And I mean, I don't know if you know what's happened in Calais recently, but I mean, it's been really, really nasty. And the
gang war in the streets, all that stuff. Yeah.
Well. I mean, it's actually the bottom line is that we are bombing these people out of their homes. We should be addressing that and helping them to rebuild their cultures rather than having to abandon their cultures. And then, other cultures are affected as well. Cultures that never asked for this. And when they voted for people, is there not some of that? Has that not been going on in the US? I don't think it has as much. I think the US is far easy. I mean, 20,000 Syrians have gone into the US.
Can I say something?
As opposed to 1 million in the UK, in Europe. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
I just want to say that, England, the UK, Britain is a, multicultural country. One of the things that, political correctness is an issue in the sense that the difficult...
It's a disease.
Yeah, the difficult subjects don't get discussed. Now, one of the things that goes on in areas of the Middle East, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and other places, is this horrible retribution that is put upon women who do not do as they're told. If a woman doesn't marry the man the parents have in mind.
Sharia law is horrid.
Well, my parents live in a very posh suburban neighborhood of London, in the home counties, just the peripheral edge, of London. And this stuff goes on, the daughters of Muslim families in wealthy Muslim families living a suburban lifestyle, if they go against the will of their family, they get beheaded, they get burned. There was this girl living locally to my parents who was like stabbed repeatedly and then set alight alive, recently. Now, this stuff does not get reported in the press. It doesn't get reported. This stuff goes on a lot in the UK. It happens in these areas where there is a predominant, I'm not trying to be racist here. I'm trying to tell you the truth. This is what goes on in these people's culture. It is covered up by the police. It's covered up by the press. It is not deemed something that people need to know about.
Well, there have been a lot of paedophile rings as well that have been covered up because they have been Asian folks, paedophile rings, and therefore the police. And it's come out, and it's been big stories in the UK just recently, but they were covering it up for a decade or so and the police were saying because it wasn't politically correct. But that's not really the issue here. That's not what we're talking about. The point is Trump is saying he wants to build a wall, and the question is, well, isn't he supposed to be looking after his people? Is that such a terrible thing? But you guys, you stateside folks, you think that it's out of order. The wall is out of order.
Well, it's just ridiculous as a response. It doesn't mean anything. It's a symbol.
Well, it would mean something. It would mean something, wouldn't it?
I think that they actually
I don't know.
have.
They
actually have secured our Mexican border much more than it was in the past, without building a brick wall. And actually, there are the equivalent of walls over most of it. And but I do sympathize with the need to tighten up immigration controls in a lot of cases. But the idea that they're literally going to build a wall it just seems kind of unreal to me.
Do you think Elizabeth?
Done,
sorry, Gary, go on.
Didn't work out well.
Do you guys think that Trump is really going to divide America culturally?
We're already divided culturally in a lot of ways. It's
but then
already
that's part
happening.
of the beauty, isn't it? But I suppose it's the core values. I mean, do you think that he's going to set black against white, for example, or men against women somehow? I mean, because these are the kind of allegations that have been thrown. Go on.
The black against white thing it's in our DNA. It was how our country was built. So he's not causing more of it. It's just becoming more out in the open now. And the problem there is that bringing it more out into the open will normalize it more over the next 4 years until such time as hopefully we throw him out and put in somebody. Hopefully we'll get a Bernie Sanders or something along those lines next time around. Because if we don't, we're all in trouble.
Yeah, well, recall that when Obama was running for president, he said he wanted a national dialogue on race. And then his former pastor came out and said, okay, well, here's some talking points, right? We'll talk about history. We'll talk about how 1 out of 10 black people were lynched in this country. And everyone just rose up against this guy and said, no, that's divisive. Well, if you want a national dialogue on race,
you got to be honest about history.
Yeah, the one that Trump has started is as good as any. Let's talk about this. So I thank him for bringing it up. Thank you. If we want to have a national dialogue on race in this country, it doesn't necessarily look pretty. It's one of the ugliest things you can talk about here.
Yes,
Elizabeth, I know, Elizabeth, I know that you had to go about this time. Are you all right for a few minutes, or do you need to go kind of now?
About maybe another 4 minutes. I'm good.
Okay, cool. Well, in that case, we'll ask you a question. What do you think about the renegotiation of NAFTA? Should it be done?
Of course. I mean, I'm sitting here in Michigan. It's been devastating to us. When I grew up in Michigan, in the Detroit area, people had jobs. And I'm not saying that's the be all and end all, and we shouldn't restructure our economy to like work less and enjoy more. But that's a thing of the past in a lot of areas. Now, I'm not saying also that the auto industry is gone from here. It's very alive and well in a lot of ways. But people had jobs, and they had jobs at decent wages. And a
they
lot
had
of people,
dignity.
yes, they did. A lot of people said, why should my neighbor who dropped out of high school and went to work on the factory line be making more money than I am? Well, it's because of those damned unions. There was a lot of division sowed in this country, especially in the 80s, about that. What it did was it floated all boats, and it was fairness and it was dignity. And we need to return to that as an idea. And instead of shipping our jobs abroad and calling that progress, it is not.
Is that not, though? You could argue that what you've just said is a contradiction to what you were saying about the wall. Because what's the difference? You keep jobs, you protect jobs. That's the same as building a wall.
I hadn't thought of it that way, and I still don't think of it that way. I think that
a wall is more concrete than a piece of paper with an agreement on it. It's more obvious. It's something that you see. It's something that can be on the telly. But the reality is the same. You've either got money coming into your account at the end of the month, or you haven't.
Can I just chip in quickly? I mean, like the idea of shipping jobs abroad is a globalist philosophy. You know, they want to create a one world corporate government. That's what they want. So they start to disseminate, responsibility globally, which yes benefits them financially, but it also means that they're creating a globalist landscape. You know, this is
exactly.
This is what they want.
It's not a progressive agenda to send our jobs to India or China and make sure that they have jobs. They need jobs in their own countries, serving their own countries. That needs to be possible. It shouldn't be this globalist agenda that's sold to us as being kind and gentle with people.
It's not. Go on.
What I think you need is that rather than shipping the good jobs out of our countries, we need to stop bombing the other countries to the point where they can't make their own good jobs.
Yes.
That's the main core of the problem here, is that we're looking to the corporate interests in our countries are looking to become more globalized so that they can ship jobs to the poorest areas of the globe and not have to pay wages. What we need to do is make sure that the people over there in the poorest corners of the globe get a real wage, and that'll solve so much of the problem.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. That's so true. Can I just say, I mean, like, you know, you guys are sort of, ecologically sound in the sense that you must be aware of Elon Musk and all this sort of stuff. I mean, it seems to me that there is the technology now that would mean we could all become sort of autonomous energy producers, and actually we could probably produce a lot of our own food regionally and locally. Should this not be the philosophy that we are all adopting now? With the technology that we have, I mean, obviously this is contravenes and goes against all big business, from an energy point of view. But surely, I mean, we can stick a bank of batteries in our attic now, and create tiles on our roofs that just mean we can be autonomously, self-sustaining.
Hey, listen, I'm going to have to go.
Elizabeth's
I have to go. But
Elizabeth.
I just wanted to say that what you just said is incredibly obvious right now. And that is exactly why we are being mind controlled out of that kind of power for ourselves and that kind of self-determination. So keep fighting the good fight, guys.
That versus the petrodollar sort of thing.
Yeah. I have to go, but I must say this has been a lot of fun. And I really appreciate your lively conversation, your humor, and your respect for your guests. Thanks so much. And thanks
Elizabeth,
to Gary.
Come on again, Liz. Come on again.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometime soon. And we'll talk about AIDS if you want, because It's kind of along the same lines. There's a lot of mind control going on around AIDS. And again, let's dispense with the tinfoil hat and just talk about these memes being thrown around in lieu of actually thinking about something. So yeah, thanks so much.
One word answer, Elizabeth. Do you think that AIDS was manufactured?
No. I think it was manufactured as an idea, not as a virus.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you
very
much, Elizabeth Ely. You lovely woman. It was a pleasure to have you on the show, and we will have you on again. And yeah, we'll talk about AIDS and stuff like that. And well, blimey, that's going to be depressing, that one.
No, it'll actually be a little bit hopeful. Anyone can be healed from AIDS, and my my podcast called HowPositiveAreYou.com shows you how.
Can I ask you one question before you go?
Sure.
Is there any real proof that people with negative blood groups have a less of a propensity to be able to develop the AIDS virus?
No proof. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All science fiction.
Elizabeth is now going to conduct a piano lesson. You know?
I am. That's the other thing that I do is I'm a pianist. So
Beautiful.
Good night, guys. And don't let your other audience leave you. Go ahead.
You, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
The other guy listening.
The 5 people out there listening.
Hey guys.
Yeah, that's like my podcast. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheerio, Elizabeth.
Bye,
Here's, did you check to see if your mum was still listening at the halftime break, mate?
Mom, are you still there? Mom?
No, she doesn't have internet.
No, she can barely work her phone.
Listen, I really have to go, okay?
Yo, Elizabeth, for God's sake, just go. I mean, you know,
Bye.
we said goodbye. What did she say? She
Ciao,
thinks she's
ciao.
Spanish. It's
Gary,
like Spanish
you're
goodbye.
still there, aren't you? Don't leave us, Gary.
No,
Yeah.
I've gone. I left 5 minutes ago.
I want to talk to you more about Elon Musk, man. I mean, like you're a green guy, you know.
Piers, let's keep it on topic. Trojan Trump.
Right,
Trojan
next
Trump.
Next week.
Should Trump talk to
Trump?
Musk?
Yes, he
Shouldn't he?
Sorry, he should. Yeah, he really should.
Yeah, Trump should absolutely be talking to Musk. But unfortunately, if you look on Trump's
think he wears
100-day
Musk?
plan,
Sorry.
if you look on Trump's 100-day plan that you guys sent over to me earlier, he's talking about completely opening up all fossil fuels to what he's calling $50 trillion worth of fossil fuel resources here in the United States, and opening up the Keystone XL pipeline and just burning all the Canadian tar sands oil, and it's going to be
like mad.
mess. And it's Hillary would have done the same. So we were just last fall.
Would she not have sort of
continued
off the back of Obama's policy in terms of energy?
Oh,
which was
one of the Podesta emails gave a transcript of her speaking to some sort of union group in September of 2015, way back in history of last year. And she was talking about fracking and saying, quote, "I want to defend this stuff." While, that's her private position, but her public position is that, oh yes, I'm going to put so many restrictions on fracking that by the time I'm done, there won't be any place where it can be done safely. But don't worry, guys, I've totally got your back in private. God. So that's the biggest problem with this election.
It's so hard to know whether or not they're lying on the stump, though.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I hear what you say. She said that.
No, they're all, of course, they're.
But
would she not have continued on with Obama's energy policy?
What, all of the above? Sure. But all of the above includes burning enough carbon-based fuels to kill us all.
Yeah, this is the thing. Why can they not accept? This is the thing. This is why we know that Trump and Hillary both had the corporate interests at heart. Exactly what Gary has just been saying. There are so many alternative methods. We could all be off the grid. There is, the solar technology. We could generate enough energy. We could put this shit in our roads. We could put this on our roofs. We could put this stuff everywhere. There's no reason why we need nuclear or coal-based power stations.
There has to be some kind of a transition, Piers. I mean, we should be growing hemp, though, shouldn't we? I mean, hemp grows so bloody quickly. We can have a spliff on the way. And we've got
Well,
energy.
I think it's fantastic that California have agreed to,
That's
to
marijuana, though. That's not hemp.
yeah, full
We need to talk
legalization.
about hemp. No, I mean,
Oh, well, I think California's going to be fantastic now. It's going to be the most mellow state alive. Nobody's going to break the speed limit driving. Everything's going to be like super chilled. Everybody's going to have a massive appetite. Barbecues are going to go through the roofs. It's just going to be like fantastic. It's just like
Gary,
everybody's going to have the munchies. And everybody's going to be super bloody healthy because they smoke.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's it. If everybody thought, we're going to vote for Trump, we're going to need to get stoned. That's devil's advocate. Gary, do you think that Trump is right when he says we need to pull back those billions that we're providing to UN climate change projects, and we need to put that into cleaning our own water in the United States and for US energy projects? It is basically, I think water.
I think that we need to pour billions into our water resources, and that we've also got plenty of billions to throw at the rest of the climate destabilization problems. All we need to do is engage in 2 fewer wars per year, go on a war diet.
Yeah.
Not even a war fast, just a bit of a war diet, and we'll have so much money to throw at combating climate destabilization problems that we'll be all right.
Blimey. Gary Branson, thank you so
what a cool thing
much.
To say. Yeah, that makes so much sense.
You've been absolutely wonderful. I'm going to have to throw you off the show now. You've been lovely as always. And
Gary, come back on. Come back on.
I'm off to prison now, I guess, Les.
That's it. We want you covering the orange jumpsuits just to see if Hiller is wearing one, and if it happens to be the one inside type thing, as opposed to the one that she likes. She's had good practice wearing orange jumpsuits. Gary, thank you very, very much. God bless you, mate. We will talk again very, very shortly. And well, that was Gary Branson. Right. Piers, Gary mate, I'll tell you, it's just, mate. I mean. Well, dude, we haven't got anywhere really. Do you think? I don't know that we. It's almost
we've been just airing ideas, which I think is the key. Which is the thing. This is what this radio is all about. It's about people just discussing stuff and airing their ideas and philosophies. Hello, are we still there?
Yeah.
We are, yeah. I mean, it's just people airing their ideas and philosophies. I mean, it's not, we're not asking to reach conclusions. We're just putting the reality of the situation out there, and trying.
We don't know the reality of the situation.
Well,
to be honest with you, all I've got is questions.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of questions, but there are also realities, and we have touched base on some true stuff tonight as well that is not difficult, which is difficult to hear. It's difficult to digest. Nobody wants to believe that the world isn't a beautiful, shiny place but the fact of the matter is that people aren't nice and people do horrible stuff.
Everybody's got a bit of good and bad in them, and some more.
They have. No? The world is all duality.
We're coming up to the end of the show, Piers. I mean, I'll let you rant
on
that's a minute.
Cool. Just so we got 5 minutes there, haven't we?
No, I don't know. I think we've got about a minute, mate. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, hopefully less.
Well, I've enjoyed tonight's show. I think it's been good fun, and the guests that you got up were really cool. And I think we should have both Liz and Gary back on because.
You were flirting with Elizabeth. I noticed that.
Nah.
You were flirting with Elizabeth.
Michigan, where she's from, that's on the Great Lakes, isn't it?
That's outrageous, mate. I tell you,
it's not a million miles away from Toronto.
You've got to be careful. If you start flirting with Gary, I'm going to get worried. I don't know, Piers. I don't know that we learned anything. I want to say thank you very, very much, Revolution Radio. Go to the website, donate. For goodness sake, give us a few quid, eh? And that was Piers Garner, me, Ollie Connolly, and our wonderful guests. We will catch you next week. This has been Jingly-Jangly.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.